Good morning. It is Wednesday, March 20th, and this is Michigan Mornings from Ave Maria Radio and the Ave Maria Radio app. I'm Matthew Handley. Are we alone in the universe? That is a more and more relevant question, it seems, as of late. More on that in a moment, but first, your local weather and this news. Pope Francis has announced that Detroit Auxiliary Bishop Gerard Battersby will be the next bishop of La Crosse, Wisconsin.
I don't come to you as the best bishop you could receive. If you want the best bishop you can receive, then you're going to have to fast and pray for me.
That was Bishop Battersby at a press conference in the Diocese of La Crosse yesterday. He is replacing Bishop William Callahan, OFM, who is resigning for health reasons. Bishop Battersby is a native of Detroit and has been serving as the regional moderator of the South region of the Archdiocese, which covers most of downriver to the Ohio border, and he's been in that role since 2016. The Diocese of La Crosse covers 19 counties in Wisconsin with about 135,000 Catholics. A Midland preacher at Living Word Church is headed to trial after being arrested and charged with child sex crimes in November of last year. James Randolph allegedly abused a sixth grader who was living with his family at the time. According to church members, Randolph and his boss, Mark Barclay, would use the pulpit on Sundays to deride their accusers in weekly sermons. Randolph had previously been arrested and convicted in Jackson County for assault. Grand Rapids public schools were closed yesterday because of the boil water advisory for much of the city. Spokesman Leon Hendricks says they closed the entire district because over 20 buildings are in the zone of the boil water advisory from east of US 131 to north of Hall Street.
We're dealing with oftentimes very young kids and counting on them to wash their hands and use hand sanitizer, and all of that we just felt like would be difficult in the impacted schools.
All schools are open and holding classes today. There was no school for the district on Monday due to a previously scheduled in-service day. The families of the 4 Oxford High School students who were killed in November 2021 are urging the state attorney general to investigate potential wrongdoing by school officials. Buck Meyer is the father of Tate Meyer, who was killed, and says they want a full story of what happened that day, and says they need to know what can be done to prevent a similar incident. Attorney General Dana Nessel has offered to conduct an investigation twice, and both times the school district has rejected her offer. The parents say a third-party investigation did not go far enough and did not provide answers they wanted due to school officials having governmental immunity. The city of Ann Arbor is implementing an anonymous hiring practice for jobs within the city government. City Council unanimously approved a resolution to not initially identify applicants' names, gender, or race to eliminate prejudicial hiring practices and discrimination. Job applicants will still be interviewed after qualifications are first screened anonymously. You're listening to Michigan Mornings on Ave Maria Radio and the Ave Maria Radio app. Now this. Today in Detroit, we will have breezy and cooler conditions. There's also a slight chance of flurries today as well. Temperatures will be in the lower 30s. Tonight, the clouds clear out and the lows will dip to the lower 20s. Tomorrow, expect partly cloudy skies to start the day, clearing later on, with highs in the upper 30s. The snow returns on Friday with light accumulations possible. Highs will be in the upper 30s, and Saturday expect partly cloudy skies and highs in the lower 40s. Today in Saginaw, it will be breezy with mostly cloudy skies. There is also a chance of snow showers this afternoon. We will have wind gusts up to 35 miles per hour. Highs will be in the lower 30s. Tonight, it remains cloudy with lows around 19. Tomorrow, expect partly cloudy skies with temperatures in the mid-30s. Friday, the snow returns and there's a chance of accumulation with highs in the mid-30s. Saturday, we will have partly cloudy skies with highs in the mid-30s. With all this talk about UFOs in the news, some have asked if the belief in extraterrestrial life is compatible with Catholic teaching. Paul Thigpen joined Al Cresta to discuss whether or not humans are alone in the universe.
You know, the church has never given any kind of formal teaching on the subject. Leaves it open. You have some folks who try to claim that other teachings of the church rule it out. A good portion of my book, I think, was written to demonstrate that that's not at all the case. Some passages in the Catechism, people may try to interpret that way, but I think when you look at context and the sources. That's not what it's saying at all. More importantly, I think, is that within the 2,000 years of church history, this subject has really been a lively one. In fact, among the ancient Greeks and Romans, even before the time of Christ, there was a lively conversation, whereas today we think of it as something that deserves tinfoil hats. But they talked about it, and then the church fathers were aware of that. You certainly have within the Catholic tradition plenty of room among very important thinkers for saying yes, it's possible. Some that might surprise you, even that would say it's definite. We have an interview recorded with Padre Pio, for instance, St. Pio of Pietrelcina, in which he emphatically said, yes, there are others out there, and they give glory to God more than we do. They're even unfallen. Now, that doesn't prove that it's true, but it does prove that someone is well-formed as Padre Pio, and someone who was often given knowledge by God, revelation, things the rest of us don't know about. That he would say that. John Paul II once said that when a little girl asked him about, are there aliens? He didn't say, no, it's contrary to our faith or science has to tell us. He said, they're God's children too. But long before that, Cardinal Nicholas Cusa, back in the early Renaissance period, wrote extensively about it. And you also have passages in Aquinas, for instance, that would seem to point that direction.
Check out Crest in the Afternoon, coming up today at 4 on Ave Maria Radio. St. Augustine says our thoughts must then be awakened to keep their vigil of faith. We must realize that the one whom we are contemplating a short time before in his nature as God took to himself the nature of a servant. I'm Matthew Handley, and that does it for this edition of Michigan Mornings. You can connect with me on X. I'm at Radio Handley, and Lord willing, I will be back tomorrow. Until then, goodbye.